Peace. What's good? Welcome to World War Wrestling. And this is a re recording of Collision because my microphone did not record it. Well, not my microphone, my headset did not record it. I talked about this in a different video. So I'm recording it on the mic. And I wanted to do this before the week started so I can get everything scheduled out and get it out there for you guys so I can catch the fuck up because I fell behind. Collision is 2 freaking hours long, man. Like, why? Does it need to be 2.5 hours long? Is it like an hour and a half in commercials? Like, this was an intensive process to get through this episode because I literally, like, before I recorded Hard to Kill, I was in, like, I just watched Hard to Kill. I was in, like, a super happy pro wrestling mood. So I woke up, I watched, like, Collision, and I watched Rampage, like, the night before that. And I was like, wow, Rampage was great. Yeah. Or the same night, rather. Like, I don't fucking remember the passage of time in which I record these episodes anymore. I look at the outfits and I try to figure out what day of the week it was. Like, this... When I first recorded it, I was happy about it. But after having to, like, re-record Hard to Kill and then going back to talk about this episode, I do actually see why people criticize AEW because I could see it not necessarily even coming from WWE fans. I can imagine a lot of WWE fans watching AEW and going like, wow, this is awesome. This is like WCW. And I feel like that's just kind of like what it is. Like, this is like WCW. And for many reasons, WCW did not really necessarily work. You could blame WWE. You could blame internal conflict and strife within WCW. You can blame anything you want to. It just did not work. Some things have stood the test of time, like Jeff Jarrett and TNA Wrestling. And I mean those things separately, but one and the same, because Jeff Jarrett is bulletproof and TNA Wrestling is bulletproof. This was... Especially because I just got done watching Ring of Honor recently, too. Is this Ring of Honor? Is this fucking... If I did not record Ring of Honor, then I might have an idea of what I want to do for this video real quick. Hard to Kill, Ring of Honor. Because that was the other thing. I just got done watching Ring of Honor, too. No, I definitely recorded this before. I definitely recorded this already. I think I might have, like, re-recorded one of the wrong episodes or something. But I don't have a Ring of Honor episode right now, and I don't have a Collision episode right now. So we're going to compare the two, and we're going to try to figure out what the fuck is wrong with AEW that is not existing in Ring of Honor. This opened up with Collision, Shane Taylor versus Jon Moxley, and a completely uncompetitive match by Shane Taylor. You got to see a few of the Shane Taylor spots and a few of the Shane Taylor moves. But even Shane Taylor versus Kenny King was a better match than this. And I know Shane Taylor won, but even Shane Taylor versus Keith Lee was kind of a... Was it, though? It wasn't. Shane Taylor and Ring of Honor, cool. I don't know why the transition from Shane Taylor to AEW is superstar to jobber. I don't get it. Billy Starks started off things hyping up this feud with Athena and Nyla Rose, but Nyla Rose is too great a threat for Bully Sharks to take on. Just the way that Athena came out with that Bane mask to take out Nyla Rose, I'm afraid of how Athena's going to come back to deal with this situation because while she might have got hurt, I don't think she's ever going to be kept down. Athena is our Ring of Honor. Nyla Rose started at the show, and I don't see any difference in how this really went about because both of these were essentially just kind of squash matches that Shane Taylor just jobbed out to John Moxley. For what reason, I don't know why. It really did not feel that competitive. Nyla Rose had a squash match against someone who didn't even have an introduction, and Shane Taylor doesn't even have an introduction. It's like without Michael Tarver fueling you up before you go out to battle, I don't know what Shane Taylor is or what he has left in the tank. Because Lion in the Jungle versus STP sucks. It's catching on a little bit, but it sucks. You should have just paid Michael Tarver his money and figured that shit out. There's no fucking reason at all why he should have changed his theme music. There's no reason why he's having uncompetitive opening matches with John Moxley, getting choked out in the middle of the ring. I don't care what you say. You're a big ass fucking dude. You couldn't just do a push up. Like it made Shane Taylor look out of shape. It made Shane Taylor look fat and not like big and intimidating in the way that he usually looks. It just kind of made him look like a fat sloppy guy wrestling some like fucking Navy SEAL looking dude. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. Next matchup between the two, Brian Keefe versus Claudio Castagnoli, Edge versus Dante Martin. And I just like what I did like was Edge versus Dante in the sense that it's good for Dante Martin because he seems like someone that AEW really believes in to be learning from Edge and working with Edge and getting Edge's respect and having that time against a competitor like that because it does help him improve his game. It was a very competitive match. Likewise with Brian Keefe versus Claudio Castagnoli, the black guy still lost, but it was competitive at least. And it really made me see Claudio Castagnoli in how much WWE underutilized him. You could have built the house on his back. You really could have. You could have given Claudio a heavyweight title match and screw his accent, any of that kind of stuff. The swinging choke, that was different and innovative. The Undisputed Kingdom versus Bear Mountain on Ring of Honor versus Aminata and Thunder Rosa. And maybe Queen Aminata is getting paid like a shit ton of money or something. Like maybe she's getting paid more than she's ever been paid before in her life to wrestle. And that's why she's jobbing out like this. But every time I see Queen Aminata, I expect her to job out. And I just don't. You shouldn't have that feeling when you see a competitor. You know, with Red Velvet, she's a jobber too, but they at least like leverage Red Velvet in a way that makes her look kind of competitive. So
Sorry, I did not know you were still recording. Can you please iron one of my uniforms? I totally forgot I had to do them. Just for.
I can help you out.
Thank you.
Wait, I'm about to try to get something out of that though. Not something dirty, you creepers. Um, You need the suspension of disbelief that this person's going to win. And Queen Aminata just does not have that in her matches. And I don't really understand why. Women's wrestling was something very different 10 years ago. I do in a way. Like she's beautiful. She's a very beautiful young lady. And she carries herself in a very profound type of way. But if someone's calling themselves Queen Aminata, why are you doing everything possible to disrespect her and to make her seem like this weak jobber? You know, it seems kind of like counterintuitive to what you could be doing to brand your show. And I get that there's probably not a lot of black women who are pro wrestling fans, but there's a lot of women who are wrestling fans that like black women. And if you put a black woman over, they would still go crazy. Look what happened with Jade Cargill, and she couldn't even fucking wrestle. Bang Bang Scissor Gang and fucking. I think this is better with Undisputed Era at Bear Mountain. I didn't really talk about Undisputed Kingdom at Bear Mountain. The Devil Gimmick at AEW carrying over to Ring of Honor. And it's wild because I prayed over Matt Taven and Michael Bennett to get some tag team gold by the end of 2023, and they pulled it off, and they did it. And I felt like it's pretty incredible, quite honestly. It's pretty freaking incredible. And maybe maybe it just kind of is what it is. I don't know, but Bear Mountain, they seem to really be punishing big guys in AEW. And the way that WWE once again had the kind of suspension of disbelief that there's no way in hell that Shawn Michaels is beating the Big Show. They put the Big Show against anybody and he jobs out to them. It's just it's hard to watch a team like Bear Mountain lose to the Undisputed Kingdom. And I get how experienced like OGK is. I really do. I have a lot of respect for OGK. But it is really hard to watch. You know, it's not like when are they going to get going? You know, like it's just not fair. It's not fair. Like maybe they're a new tag team. Like maybe AEW was like their first ever real go at this. Maybe they just got out of pro wrestling school. They had a lot of ambition. But this is again like you need to put people over. Like even in a fucking lucky match or a lucky roll up or something, it's like it's oppressive almost. You know how this gets booked out for these guys. Bang Bang Scissor Gang. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. It seemed really like across the rainbow for me. But hey, maybe that's what they're going for. That was followed by Tony Storm running her gabs and yabba 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 doo dah, doing her thing. No one's gonna beat her. It don't even matter. It's not even relevant. No one's beating Tony Storm. Maybe Nyla Rose would beat Tony Storm, but she's on Ring of Honor right now. As far as AEW Collision is concerned, nobody's beating Tony Storm. Mark Briscoe versus Serpentico. Why was this match more competitive than Shane Taylor versus John Moxley? Why? Can you tell me why? I don't know why. I really have no idea why. Mark Briscoe versus Serpentico. Was it fucking like, oh my god. Rest in peace, Jay Briscoe. Fucking 8 women's tag match. And House of Black versus Danny Garcia versus Buddy Matthews, Buddy Murphy. And it broke out in utter fucking chaos. And I don't know why. Because it was a 3-on-3 match. On fucking TNA, they made that a 6-man tag match and they just did that. And they just continued on what they were doing. Here, the entire locker room pours out. For what? Like, it was just utter chaos. The only people that you could recognize were the Outrunners because they were the only people not wearing all black. Literally every professional wrestler here, other than the Outrunners, and one guy who was wearing green, you couldn't recognize any of the fucking wrestlers because they were all wearing fucking all black. They were all wearing black t-shirts like they worked at backstage. It looked so fucking stupid to the point that it would have probably just been better to let FTR in fucking House of Black do what they're doing. And then it instantly cuts to them going, "Oh, I know you got to do your job. We're going to wrestle and we're going to fight. You guys could have wrestled and you could have fought all fucking ready, Stop the bullshit. What is this matched up with? An 8-women's tag match that, I feel like the women's division's really just showing the dudes how it's done the majority of the time with AEW Ring of Honor. And not really on, the winning team side. That just kind of was what it was. Billy Starks, Queen Aminata finally got a victory. Kara Hogan and Lady Frost. Lady Frost pulled out a pretty good cartwheel, air raid crash. That was the highlight of the entire match was that one move. And just the dynamic of Taya Valkyrie being on a team with Robin Renegade, who, even though she's tag teaming right now, this is her first real outing on her own. And that was very impressive. And she did show up. Layla Hirsch, Rachel Ellering, the three of those women being able to learn from Taya Valkyrie and being able to be under her coattails and to come out to her entrance music made all three of those women that much more relevant. And it doesn't matter that Robin Renegade can't stand her. It is what it is. Layla Hirsch, she kind of seemed like the odd one out here, to be honest with you. And it didn't seem like she was hating on Taya Valkyrie. She didn't seem jealous of Taya Valkyrie. She has a lot to learn from Taya and trying to be. There are those, I would say, kind of like Queen Aminata, who talk the talk maybe. I've never really actually heard her on the mic before. But not necessarily physically opposing or all that physically talented. It looks like in a fighting sense of what she's doing with larger, smaller competitors. Layla Hirsch does not have the physical gifts that Queen Aminata has. And it's weird because I have them actually on the same line here. Maybe that's why I'm zeroing in and focusing on it like that. But Layla Hirsch is physically imposing. She's kind of short. I'll give you that. Call her fucking Oompa Loompa or something. She's pretty short. But Layla Hirsch is physically fucking imposing. She really can beat the shit out of you. She really is fucking tough like that. And she just has zero fucking charisma whatsoever. It's she has no real personality other than fighting. And there's a lot of guys like that too. There's a lot of guys that have no personality other than fighting. But with I don't know. I just I really hope Layla Hirsch learns a lot from Taya Valkyrie because if you can't cut a promo, you can't hold the title. Abaddon came out and was gyrating all over the fucking place. I didn't really fucking like that at all. That shit looked fucking stupid as hell. Roddy Strong versus Matt Sydal, and then Dalton Castle and Johnny Impact. That was like the whole fucking highlight of Ring of Honor. Is whenever Dalton Castle's on the screen. I won't even fucking lie. Dalton Castle is amazing. He's amazing. He's gonna win an Emmy. I pray that Dalton Castle wins an Emmy. I hope he wins an Emmy. Like I really do. Like this was fantastic. Watch it. Watch it. Watch it. Dalton Castle. Christopher Daniels versus Kyle Fletcher. Roderick Strong, Matt Sydal. I feel like I said Roderick Strong, Matt Sydal like 3 times now. But I don't really know what to say other than like it was a competitive match. They're all competitive matches. No, they're not all competitive matches. Shane Taylor versus John Moxley was not a competitive match. They're not all competitive matches. Christopher Daniels versus Kyle Fletcher was actually a very competitive match. Christopher Daniels is an expert wrestler. At the very ongoing of this match, Kyle Fletcher was walking all over Christopher Daniels in a way that you kind of thought, like, man, like, is this the end of Christopher Daniels? Like, are we really gonna? Is he like, why is he doing this? Like, you need to go home, old man. You need to stop. And then Christopher Daniels started showing up. He started showing out. He started doing his thing, and he beat that little boy up a little bit. He beat that little boy up, and they put in such a fight. They put in such a commotion, and they really went for it. Kyle Fletcher came out with the victory, but you really thought that Christopher Daniels had this one won. Roderick Strong and Matt Sydal, it is what it is. You know, that the Undisputed Kingdom is the hottest thing in AEW right now, especially with the Bang Bang Scissor Gang wanting revenge against the Undisputed Kingdom. It's not going to last that long with the Bang Bang Scissor Gang. That's why I really didn't like it, is that I know Jay White is going to fuck them over. But they need the revenge. Oh, cash app. If you want to cash at me, cash at me. I would love that. I would love some more cash apps. I love that sound. Vikingo versus Action Andretti. This is a reason why I say there's something wrong with AEW that doesn't exist in Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor's main event is Vikingo versus Action Andretti. You know? AEW Collision's main event is Daniel Bryan and Claudio Castagnoli versus Eddie Kingston and fucking Ortiz. Ortiz hasn't wrestled in a long ass fucking time. Ortiz looks like he's coming straight off the couch. Ortiz does not look like he's worked out in months. He looks like he's been dealing with a lot of fucking stress. And Eddie Kingston did not look like he had any fucking interest tag teaming with Ortiz whatsoever. And I don't know what the fuck is going to come out. I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know why there's this behind the scenes drama with Mike Santana and Ortiz and Eddie Kingston. I don't understand what the fuck is happening. I really don't. They lost tonight, and it was not a good match. This was not the same match of the guy that won the Continental Classic. You kind of saw Kingston in this match, not really. It just seemed like Daniel Bryan and Claudio Castagnoli wanted revenge. And that's it. It just seemed like they wanted revenge. And it wasn't a good match. It wasn't really a competitive match. Because you just saw Claudio Castagnoli versus fucking Brian Keith on Ring of Honor. And that was a great fucking match. That was a wonderful fucking match. You see this match on AEW with Daniel Bryan, and maybe it's just bad influences. I don't know. But you had like the BBC all together tonight. And it didn't hit. There's a reason why Roman Reigns is world champion. There's a reason why Seth Rollins is champion. There's a reason why John Moxley's not. It's just he can be the ace of AEW all he wants, but if John Moxley is your bar, how much higher can you really like? It's a lot higher to get than that. It's like Sammy Callahan being your ace. You can do more than just bleeding over people, and it's just I don't know. It's scripted. That Kingo versus Action Andretti was the smartest match I've seen in quite a long time. It reminded me a lot of Darby Allin versus Jeff Hardy. A lot of the pacing, especially the finish. And maybe that's like my issue with some of this is that it's kind of like Ring of Honor had the script for AEW Dynamite and kind of replicated that. With Collision, they tried to innovate and it didn't work. But the formula for AEW kind of worked. I don't remember complaining about AEW this week at all. I don't remember if I did or not. I genuinely don't. But the finish, like Vikingo is just such an like intelligent wrestler. I feel like he makes everybody around him look better by proxy. And I didn't expect him to lose because, again, like, rarely ever does someone representing a title from a different promotion come through and lose their title on a different promotion. That would completely ruin any relationship that these people have together. But I saw this moment with Action Andretti in Top Flight, where Action Andretti's all by himself. And Top Flight comes up joking and laughing and playing the brothers. And Action Andretti is really contemplating the fact that he is the main event tonight. He's been main eventing a lot, you know. And they're really looking to put some responsibility on this guy's shoulders. This guy, Action Andretti, is not like, he's not going away. He's not going anywhere. And I really hope that people can keep an eye out for him because it doesn't seem like the type of thing in which a few matches are going to pass by and you're going to forget about Action Andretti. This guy is really coming and competing at a different level. This guy's really taking professional wrestling and he's making it his own. And he's not really on the mic too much. He's a very soft-spoken, quiet type of guy from what I see so far. But it's just this, like, love, not for himself, and not an insecurity, a confidence. There's just a love for professional wrestling in Action Andretti. It's just like watching this racially ambiguous kid. I'm sorry, that ruined it. That ruined it. I was like making it sound like all dramatic and shit. That kind of ruined it. It's like watching this racially ambiguous kid that we can all fucking root for. We can all fucking get behind. And you keep wanting him to win. You keep wanting him to win. You keep wanting him to win. And because he beat Chris Jericho and Chris Jericho put him over, you keep having that suspension of disbelief that Action Andretti can pull one over at anybody. He can get a victory on anybody. That's what you need to do for the rest of your talent. And I don't know, you just keep getting a lot of these same guys up that got to keep talking themselves up, hyping themselves up to get ready for the loss. And there's not enough between the bells to show people like he deserves to be a champion. Either there's not an opportunity, there's a fucking refusal, there's just fucking politicking, I don't know, or just straight up racism. But Daniel Bryan, Claudio Castagnoli, and John Moxley being together and being like the architects of AEW, I feel like it's worse than the Young Bucks being the architects of professional wrestling. You need to keep Daniel Bryan in a talent position, either or. And every man is corruptible. And a tiny man like Daniel Bryan, who has a hot wife like fucking Brie Bella, who's working with all these other men on Barmageddon and all these other celebrities on Barmageddon right after the promotion that he's competing on as a talent for the promotion that he's competing against, is probably going through some ego issues, especially with Matt Hardy breaking up with Ruby Sky. His eye is fucking broken. He's supposed to be quitting soon. It's just, it's a recipe for fucking disaster to have this guy being the backbone of politics inside of your professional wrestling industry. Because Daniel Bryan has proven time and time again he is a very petty, small minded man, and his imagination does not stretch very far. And every single group he has been a part of, he has basically turned against. Kind of what people like pretend CM Punk is what Daniel Bryan actually is. Daniel Bryan actually does steal spotlight and steal positions from people. He does refuse to believe that he's not going to get over, that he needs help, or that he needs advice. He just keeps doing the same thing over and over again. And it works when he's like going against the industry. It worked when he was the underdog. It doesn't work when he's the bully. And it doesn't work when he's a political bully and he's handling disciplinary issues while he's kicking people in the face, stomping on their face. And I get it. It may not fucking hurt. It might feel like a fucking row of daisies brushing against your nose. He might be so fucking gentle with you. It looks horrible seeing a guy who's like 5'5", stomping on your fucking face. And I get it, man of a million holds, all that kind of stuff. Really grateful for the existence of Daniel Bryan and all that is. Again, if you want to send me like, you guys want to send me cash apps, coffee, buy me coffee and coffee, like, feel free. I would love it. I would love it. It would be great. I could use the help. Especially because this is like a full time fucking job right now. Like watching professional wrestling every day. I did not realize how much professional wrestling I watched until I started commentating on it. Because I can kind of take the L of, wow, I really love watching this, so I'm going to watch it, versus like, damn, I really like am watching hours of this. Because usually I just skip through a lot of these matches that I don't like. And then I don't have to deal with any of these negative emotions because, like, I skipped the match. Now I have to pause the match and watch it. I can't just walk away and come back to it. And it's like, you notice things that you wouldn't really notice. You experience things that you wouldn't really experience. In the past, there's a lot of times that the main event of a show would come on and I would just turn it off because I had no interest in the main event. I wish I could have done that versus Daniel Bryan and Castaneda and fucking Eddie and Ortiz because, like, I had no interest in this. I had no interest in seeing this. That should have opened the match, and Shane Taylor and Moxley should have had a 20-minute match to close it. Not a squash match on Shane Taylor, and then you put Daniel Bryan and Claudio over against fucking Ortiz and Eddie, and they're not even a tag team. It was stupid. I don't understand why the issues are in AEW and not on Ring of Honor. And hopefully I was able to kind of convey some of that like by comparing the two. But I just feel like I expect more experience in the storytelling. And the way that I say that Action Andretti doesn't have a love for himself, he has a love for pro wrestling, is the way that I feel John Moxley has a love for himself. Daniel Bryan has a love for himself. And they have lost that love for professional wrestling. Or it's dwindled in a bit. That they feel like professional wrestling loves them. You need to love professional wrestling to be a good professional wrestler, to get over with the fans, to get over with the crowd, because then you're tapped and you're in touch with what works and what does not work. When you become a fan of yourself and your head gets too far up your own ass, there's no one to really level you out and bring you back to an even playing field, to give you advice, to give you feedback. You just feel like you're in control of the whole damn show. And I just feel like the Young Bucks, the Blackpool Combat Club, I feel like they're really taking advantage of Tony Khan. In the same way that you think Matt and Jeff Hardy are going to be a draw, I'm going to tell you this in a way that's neither positive nor negative. It's just neutral. This is just neutral feedback. The Hardy brothers are as big of a draw as the Blackpool Combat Club. So then you can either treat the Hardy brothers with more respect and put them on a pedestal just like you do the Blackpool Combat Club, and give the Hardy brothers creative freedom to do what the hell they want to do with their gimmick, or you need to cut back a little bit on the Blackpool Combat Club, because without William Regal, it doesn't make any sense. Wheeler Yuta is still the best wrestler on that like brand, and he can't even use all his moveset anymore. They stymied Wheeler Yuta's growth. Because I don't know, it reminds me of some neo-Nazi fucking movement that they got the Japanese guy, these fucking racist white guys, and they're just shitting on other people and beating other people up, but they're not even all that much better. And the Japanese guy is way better off without these guys. He's way more talented than them. But it's not like you have Edge and Christian in your ear. It's not like you have Cena or The Rock in your ear. It's not like you have someone who's been at the top of the ladder and the top of the mountain and they can tell you what it looks like. There are guys who are climbing the top of the mountain and they were told for specific reasons, you're not going to make it to the top of the mountain. Not here, not anywhere. And now they're trying to force their way to the top of another mountain through politics and not through talent, and I just don't like that. It should be a meritocracy, and I don't feel like the Young Bucks are earning their position as thinking they're as good as they are. Where were they when the Briscoes were fighting with fucking FTR? Nowhere. The Young Bucks and the Blackpool Combat Club, they're the biggest issue in AEW because they were put on such a high pedestal where the Young Bucks should have been focusing more on developing talent and getting people over, which they did do. You know, I'm not going to say that they didn't do that. They had a lot of like 8-man fucking tag matches that were 4-way matches to show how good tag team wrestling can be and to put tag team wrestling over and trios wrestling over, and they did that. But I think it has to be a strain paying 4 to 8 people for one match, and the match isn't even good. I feel like AEW calling itself All Elite Wrestling wouldn't have this issue if its name wasn't so pompous. And then you're expecting, Jesus Christ, you're expecting so much more from them because of its title, because of its name, because of the grandeur that it says it presents. But in all honesty, it's just not delivering. Peace. This was World War Wrestling.